Good afternoon, everyone. It's March the 12th, 2024. Before I get into what I put up on the title, I wanted to bring a response, actually read out a response from one of my readers that I think is worthwhile reading to give you a little more insight into my last video of underlying medical conditions. And I'm going to read it out, and I think you'll find this very interesting, and it also ties into some of what I want to talk about in this video as well. And this is what she had to say. I had that same condition, inability to thrive, being premature and adopted as well, and 60 scoop. Now, she and I have a lot in common because I believe I was also part of the 60 scoop too. People are unaware as well that when you look at alcohol, that indigenous people are mixed probably like I do. We have a gene. And the same thing with the Inuit people. And this is why we get drunk so quickly. So it all comes to an underlying condition, which is not our fault. So I wanted to bring this up. I thought it was very good. Now this woman here, I know her, and she has her problems. Now, she being adopted, she was brought up a totally different way, of course, than I was brought up, and I'm thankful I had the parents that I did get at the time. But her way of solving problems, and she's got an alcohol problem, so it leads into what I want to talk about as well. But it comes down to this poor woman. She was homeless for a while. She finally got her own place, but she struggles with the alcohol. And it's hard on her, and I understand, because what I'm finding is when you have the failure to thrive, you also have the problem of growing up where you don't always have the basic life skills. Fortunately, I've had parents that in many ways explain life skills to me, but there were some life skills that I had to learn on my own, and that was certainly the drugs and the alcohol, because they certainly didn't take drugs or alcohol. That was not their thing for sure. I was thankful that I was brought up with parents that way, but I had to learn some of my situations and in life the hard way. And this is what I want to talk about today, is the alcohol. And like I said, I'm glad that I grew up with these people and a registered nurse to help look after me, because I know she texted me back later and said she was sick as well, and I understood that because I was a very sickly baby when I came to them at 9 months old. I had been in 5 different foster homes. I had had pneumonia 5 times, so they didn't think I was going to survive. I was a very, very weak baby, so this is why they were desperately looking for a nurse for me. It was a difficult period in my life, but she got me through that. And then as I grew up in my childhood, I had rheumatic fever, scarlet fever, and whooping cough all in 1 year on my mom. The next year I had measles, mumps, and chickenpox all in the same year as well. So I understand, and I can relate to this other woman with being sick as well. So I just wanted to recognize what she is saying as well as extremely important, but she most likely is probably sensitive to the drugs and the alcohol like I am, and probably grew up not even realizing it. So I want to say kudos to her. I know she's trying hard with the alcohol problem, but as my parents said to me growing up, when I got into situations, when I had to learn life, nobody could do things for me. It was me, myself, and I that had to do things to improve my life. That was one of the big things that I did take away from it. And unfortunately, she's trying hard, but there's no one else can help her except me, myself, and I. And that's what she has to understand, that she has to stand up against it. I know she's been trying hard, but this is what bothers me about the addiction problem and what kind of support we have out in our world for the addictions that are hitting us pretty hard. So I just wanted to say something about that. I wanted to go on about my experiences with alcohol, probably having the gene as well. But you see, my parents didn't drink. Their idea of drinking, literally, was I knew enough not to get into their sherry. Because sherry was reserved for basically special occasions, such as an example, New Year's. They'd have people over, and they'd just toast in the New Year. So that was all I understood about alcohol. Everything else, forget it. I was just totally a blank slate on the drugs and the alcohol because of my parents. So I was walking into a world that even back then, as a teenager, and the flower power generation and the drugs and that going at the time. So it was a difficult time for me, like smoking. Here's a good one. Oh, of course, the peers. Everybody was smoking at that time, and that one I'm talking about ordinary cigarettes. And so they persuaded me to try and smoke a cigarette. Well, that didn't go over too well because I took 2 puffs out of it. I started choking so bad that I was choking for an hour. My asthma was brought up to the point where if I didn't stop, they were really getting scared because apparently I was going blue in the face, and they were afraid they're going to have to run me into the doctor. So between the asthma and the smoking and the cigarettes, that's why I never ended up smoking. That was the beginning and the end of my smoking career, right there. Now, with the alcohol, when I married my first husband, the police officer, I've told you some of the stuff. It was very abusive at times. Excuse me, I got an itchy nose here. But one of the things that happened with me that I had to learn the hard way about alcohol was after we were married, we were living in a suburb, and it was interesting because one of the neighbors had a child, and he was handicapped, and they needed a babysitter. So they had a beautiful white Samoyed as well. So I said, no problem. I babysit. They wanted to go out for the evening. Not a problem. I didn't have any children with my first husband, so that was fine. So I went, and they showed me through, and they took me to the refrigerator. Get this one. They took me to the refrigerator, and they told me, well, this is what you can eat, blah, blah, blah. Oh, and this is the whole row down here, and this is all the soft drinks. So the soft drinks were root beer, orange, Diet Coke, Pepsi, and whatever. But I was looking at, after they left, I was looking down the row, and I thought, okay, I don't know if I want that. Don't know if I want that. But at the end of the row, I just took this literally. There was this big bottle called Baby Duck. And I thought, whoa, gee, is this a new kind of soft drink? And I'm looking at the bottle. So I decided, well, I'm going to try this new soft drink. So I poured myself a glass. Oh, this tasted good. And boy, what a great soft drink this is. Well, I found out the hard way. I started drinking, and I couldn't stop drinking it. It was just so good. And I didn't realize I was getting myself plastered. So it ended up that I had drank the whole 26-ouncer of Baby Duck. And by the time the people came home to see me babysitting, I was apparently babysitting on the floor with their white Samoyed, having a great conversation with the dog, and I was just plastered. Well, they couldn't believe what happened. So they called my husband, and he was just coming home from work, and of course he was still in uniform at the time. And of course he thought, oh, can't be that bad. I won't run in. I won't bother changing. I'll just run over and see what the problem is. Because they didn't explain what the problem was. They just told me, you better get back and come pick me up. So he looked at me on the floor and said, oh no, because he was well aware that I had a problem with the alcohol. I couldn't handle the alcohol or the drugs. And that's why with the drug problem with him, why it was so easy for him to get me drugged up at the time. So this is like 3 o'clock in the morning. So he's taking me down the street, or trying to walk me, and of course I can't walk. So he's carrying me, and he's in his police uniform. And of course, when I get drunk, or I've been known that, or sometimes I get high, I start laughing, and I can't stop laughing. I'm one of these happy-go-lucky people. At least I don't get violent, but I just can't stop laughing. So I wasn't laughing when he was carrying me home. I decided this time I was going to sing opera at 3 o'clock in the morning, going down the street. So here I am singing opera. He's trying to carry me and shush me up and take me back home. And of course, I'm starting to wake up the neighbors at 3 o'clock in the morning. So by the time he got me home, and he just put me into bed, and I conked out. So next morning I woke up, and Oh boy, did my head hurt. Oh, a Mack truck just ran over it. That's what it sure felt like. So I asked him what happened. He said, "Well, what you have to do is take some what was it, tomato juice, and and he said I was never so embarrassed in my life. He was really furious at me. So I just wanted to explain one incident that happens because people are very, very sensitive to alcohol too. I'm one of them, and this is, as I said, the indigenous people have this gene, and that's why they're taken advantage of by the drug dealers as well as the liquor, and that's why they can't basically handle it. So I just wanted to bring that to people's attention, and I think it's something that has to be brought up, and I think that is the thing about having this ability to be able to speak to many people through our technology today. It's more about educating people and being able to help people learn things that they need to understand and they need to know. And this is one of the reasons that I push so hard for supportive housing, and it has to be better than what we're doing now because there's something very wrong in our society to help these people. But I had a very poor beginning. She had a poor beginning, but I made the best of it, and I'm still here 71 years later. But like the residential schools too, the survivors were survivors of the 60s scoop at the same time and what we all had to go through. So I just wanted to give people another view on what's actually going on and the things in our past that we have to rectify, literally. And it's going to be hard on all of us because there's so many things coming at us at once right now. So I just wanted to leave it there today, but I just wanted to people to realize, believe me, I'm not a drinker either. I don't like the alcohol. I may have an occasional drink, but I'm very careful when I drink now. But anyhow, everyone, please take care. Have a nice day, and we'll talk soon again. And be safe and watch your surroundings. Bye-bye.